morning. Welcome to the Hermione Voices Indigenous Gardening Series. Yate Kiani Shle Ado Tachini Bashichin Adoshimasana Kiani Adoshiche Kisani. Today we are going to be making seed lockets. So today we're going to talk about the kinds of seeds that you can use for your living locket. And a living locket is basically a tiny little greenhouse that you're going to be wearing around your neck, and the heat from your body is going to create the germination process. So once your seed starts becoming warm and it has what it needs the moisture, and that moisture and warmth are captured in a little terrarium that you're going to be wearing around your neck. So the types of seeds that we're using, you can use any seed, but basically the seeds we're using right now, these are Hubbard, and these are from my homeland. And then there's two different types of cantaloupe here as well that we're going to be using. Now, you want to make sure that the seeds will be able to germinate within 2 to 3 weeks. You want to be able to also remember to observe your seed. You're going to be looking at your seed and seeing it sprout, and making sure that it looks, really healthy. So today we're going to put a living locket together, and we're going to show you how to create this little solarium or greenhouse, and utilizing the things that you would have at home rather than to buy anything new. So DIY meaning that you're upcycling, you're reusing, and you're repurposing what you have out of your house. And that's the whole purpose of utilizing these seed lockets and helping them grow. So you're going to be sprouting and then transplanting your sprout into the ground or into a larger pot. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to find some clear plastic wrap, grocery bags, things that you can just find around the house, Ziploc bags, making sure that there's enough of it to make a little locket. And you're going to need your seeds, have some seeds available. You're going to need scissors. You're going to need, possibly need some alcohol to sanitize the plastic wrap. You're also going to need cotton balls. So a few cotton balls on hand is great to have. And then you're going to need some string. So it could be yarn, it could be lightweight string. You don't want anything too strong. And you want it to be comfortable around your neck, so not scratchy, not prickly or anything like that. So yarn does pretty well because it's soft. You can use other things, even if you have a real necklace, a silver necklace or anything that you're not using anymore, you could potentially use that and upcycle that as well. And then you need water. So water is really essential because you're going to be soaking your cotton ball in water, and you're going to wring it out, and that's going to be the moisture that you're going to need for your living locket over the next few weeks. So let's go ahead and start right now. So first thing you're going to need is, this is what I found around my house. So this is a Starbucks. It's from a croissant that I had yesterday, and I thought it would be pretty cool to use. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this in a way, and you're not going to need very much of it. So we're going to cut just enough. Don't blow away. And the inside still has some croissant crumbs on it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take one of my cotton balls, and you're going to sanitize the wrap, because you don't want a lot of bacteria on the plastic. And by doing that, you're just going to take the cotton ball, and you're going to just put a few drops on the cotton ball of alcohol, not too much, and then you're just going to wipe it on each side. I'm going to sterilize it just like this. Just go over a few times just to get some of that bacteria off. and then let it dry. We'll do the outside just in case too. And if you have bacteria, what happens is when the moisture hits the bacteria, it starts to mold. And so you really want to check for mold as your living locket is sprouting over the next week. So we're going to let that dry for a little bit, just like that, under there so it doesn't blow away. Then you're going to use your string. I already cut two lengths of string, and so your string is going to be about this length. You want enough for a necklace, but you also want to have enough length so you can tie around the little locket. So that is about, depends on how tall you are too and how long you want the necklace. So I'd say about this length probably to go around. Don't make it too long, don't make it too short. If you're making a living locket for a toddler or a youth, you want to make it use a string that in case something should happen, they're not going to also choke, but they're not too strong where if they were to get caught on something that the string would break. So so really lightweight string is good. So now that our plastic has dried, what we're going to do is we're going to shape this, and we can cut this again in two. You don't need a lot of this, so I always suggest not buying anything that you need because there's so much waste in this world that you can find what you need in someone else's trash or someone else's recycling. So we're going to do this. We're going to use a little Hubbard seed. This is a Navajo Hubbard seed. And these seeds are very drought tolerant. They're very hardy, and you want to make sure that they're going to be comfortable. They're going to have enough room to grow. So you're going to kind of fold. It's like folding a seed in a blanket. So you're going to make sure the seed is really comfortable. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to take another cotton ball and you're going to just put it in water. Make sure your hands are clean. So you're going to put it in water. Actually, I'm going to put some alcohol on my hands and make sure my hands are clean, because you don't want bacteria from your hands to get on the cotton ball and then have that get onto the seed. So you're going to take your cotton ball and you're just going to dab it in some water. You're going to wring it out. You don't need it wet, you just need it moist. So you're going to kind of open it up a little. Should be kind of like spongy wet, not wet, dripping wet. So we're going to open this up. We're going to kind of open up a little hole in the middle. And I'm going to grab our seed. And the first thing you do before you even put this in the cotton ball is you want to introduce yourself to your seed, and you want your seed to be, you want to become familiar with your seed. So I always say talking to our seeds is something that is very important and very critical, because seeds are living organisms, and these are like babies. I call these seeds babies. And when you're going to sprout anything, you want to make sure that your seed kind of knows what your intentions are. So I always introduce myself, and I always make sure that my seed knows that this seed is going to get love and nurturing and attention and caring, and you're kind of motivating the seed, you're inspiring the seed, and you're really wanting the seed to get prepared to sprout. So the best way to do this is holding your seed in the palm of your hand and saying some kind words and introducing yourself, because these seeds for generations have the same genetic memory. And so my ancestors have been working with seeds for a very long time, and this is something that we connect with our seeds. And so when they sprout to become mature plants, then they remember who we are. So if we nurture them and love them and take care of them and give them all that they need, then they return that reciprocal relationship by giving us food. They give us sustenance, and they really help the pollinators. They help other things grow. These seeds are ancestral seeds, and they've been around generations and generations of seeds, and generations of my family who have made these connections throughout these generations. And I think it's very important to continue that. And if you do that, they will provide you with really great food. They will be happy. They will feel like they're loved, because again, they're a living organism. They love our energy. They love our presence. They know when we're around. And this is just the first introduction. And when you breathe on your seeds, the biome from our breath, the seed absorbs our biome, and that's their first introduction, so that they get to know who you are, and they will remember me when they become a plant. So it's also important to be talking to your seed as it's sprouting, encouraging it, kind of like cheering it on. You're cheering your seed on, and your seed is going to feel like it's loved, and it's not going to be forgotten. So you want to check on your seed continuously as it's growing in your locket, and talking to it and keep cheering it on. So this is something we're going to do. So I'm going to introduce myself. So hi baby, I am Shannon, and I'm going to help you sprout, and I'm going to love you, I'm going to nurture you, I'm going to give you a lot of care, and we're going to have this really great relationship, and I'm going to wear you around my neck so that I don't forget about you. And someday you're going to be a big plant, a big happy plant, and you're going to help me survive and keep me fed. So I appreciate you, I love you, and I can't wait to see you when you're a big plant. And thank you for being here. Okay, so now that we've talked with our seed, we want to go ahead and put the seed in this little cotton ball that's been soaked in water, and we're just going to kind of wrap it, kind of like you're going to be putting it down to go to sleep. So you want to just have a little bit of the seed poking out. Every seed has a little mouth where the root's going to come out. So if you look at every seed, this is where the root's going to sprout. So when it starts to germinate, it's going to open up. Every seed also has an embryo, which is kind of in the middle of inside the seed. And so that embryo is what starts sprouting. So the elements, actually, with the sun and the moisture and the warmth, is going to open the coat, or the outside of the seed coat, and it's going to break that coat, and then it will start helping the little root develop. So we're going to wrap the seed. We're going to kind of let the little mouth just peek out through here, and we're going to make sure that the seed is going to be completely covered here with the moisture of the little cotton ball. Now we're going to take our little plastic. I chose this one. If it's too small, if your cotton ball and your seeds are too big, then you want to pick a larger one. But we're going to just wrap this around the corners like this. Kind of make sure it's almost airtight, but there's a little bit of room in there for the seed to grow. You don't want to have too much room in there, but you want enough so that it'll start sprouting. So we're going to take our string. We cut some string here already for the necklace, and we're going to wrap this around a few times, enough where it's going to hold the locket opening together. But you can see that there's a little bit of air in there. You want to keep that air in there. And then we're going to tie this. There's many ways that you can do this. Just make sure that the locket is pretty secure, the string. And then you're going to take the other end and you're going to tie it to the other end. And one major, don't forget, has to go over your head. I kind of have a big head. Anyways, so you want to just put it over your head and make sure it fits and make sure it's loose enough. And then also when you want this to start germinating, and some of the plastic, just FYI, you don't want to make the plastic too scratchy. So if it's softer plastic, it'll be much better. But you can wear the locket outside of your clothes, or if you want this locket to have more heat, then you can actually wear it under your shirt. And especially when it's on cold days, that the seed wants to have warmth, so that warmth will kickstart the germination process. But once it starts germinating, then you want to really pay close attention and looking at your seed every day to make sure there's no mold, making sure it looks healthy. It should start sprouting within a week. Some seeds may take 2 weeks to sprout. Also, when you take off your seed locket, you also want to make sure that when you're resting your seed locket, that it is not in direct sunlight. You want to put it in the shade, not too cold of a place, but just making sure that it's somewhere but not in direct sunlight, because you don't want the seed to dry out. Make sure if you see a lot of moisture in there, that it does it doesn't go overboard where it's going to start molding. So if you see start of mold, take your seed out and put it in a new cotton ball, and you can rinse your seed off before you put it in the new cotton ball. But most seeds won't mold unless you have a lot of bacteria, or if you haven't cleaned the bag thoroughly, then there's a possibility of getting some mold. So once your seed starts germinating, you want to have enough root. So if the roots are about 2 inches long, 2 to 3 inches long, then that's time for the seed to come out of the cotton ball. When you're carefully taking it apart, then you can put the seed in a container of soil. You can put it directly in the ground, depending on what kind of seed it is. But your seed should have enough root to really kickstart the stability and making sure that it is going to be happy in the soil that you're going to plant it in. So this is a great way to help kids connect with seeds, because they can actually wear this locket. I wouldn't suggest doing this with toddlers, but kindergarten and up, they love doing a project like this, and they can see the seed grow. And when you utilize the language like babies instead of seeds, then that familiarity really kicks in to helping these kids know that this is something living and it's special and it's a baby. And if you also use the language that we're nurturing and taking care of these babies, kind of like newborns, then they think of that as, this is a baby, this baby is fragile, this baby needs love, this baby wants attention. And so just like any newborn, you have to be really careful and cautious and making sure that these seeds are okay. So if you do that and you can sprout seeds like for 2 weeks, you're really doing a good thing. And a lot of these seeds, again, it just depends on what you're going to be putting in the locket, determines the amount of days that it's going to germinate. So I would time doing this project right before planting time, right around Mother's Day. And so if you want to start like a couple of weeks before and start doing a bunch of living lockets for your kids or for your school, for your classroom, this is a great way to do this. I wouldn't use a heavyweight string again, in case it gets caught on something that the string would be able to break easily, which is probably a good idea. This is something that just really helps people connect to the natural world. And this is something that is very helpful in utilizing, really taking care of Mother Earth, taking care of climate change, taking care of our pollinators, because every seed that we plant helps dozens and dozens of pollinators. And so this is what you want to do, is start encouraging Mother Earth and encouraging the natural world to work together. So it's a great project. I've been doing this project for years now, and I've been able to really help a lot of kids and a lot of adults and a lot of elders really connect back to the natural world. So it's a good thing that if you have several living lockets of the same seed, because cross-pollination is very important. So if you're doing one seed in a locket or two seeds in a locket, you could germinate two seeds in one locket. And the purpose for that is you want to be able to have at least 3 to 4 seeds to cross-pollinate that are the same age. So cross-pollination takes about a week, and so if you want to do 3 or 4 of the same seeds, it's probably best to start them at the same time. So because they're going to be maturing at the same time and they're going to be pollinating at the same time. If you want to stagger 3 or 4 seeds and then do another 3 or 4 seeds so that you can have an ongoing harvest, the cross-pollination will increase the more seeds that you have. So if you do 8 to 10 living lockets, then you can bring those seeds back together. If they look healthy, put them in the soil, and then the maturing process will, be at the same age and the same time. So you really want to be conscientious about how many seeds you're germinating and your pollination process. So if you just do one seed, basically you'll have a plant. Unless it pollinates with something else, you probably won't get any fruit. So you want to make sure to do at least 3-4 seeds so that your pollination percentage will increase. And you want to pick the best seeds for that pollination to take place, because you want healthy plants, you want vivacious plants, you want strong plants that will endure the heat, that will endure some of the weather, because Denver has hail sometimes, it's very windy. So you really want to pick the strongest plants and the largest plants and really pollinate those seeds that way to ensure that you'll have healthy seeds for the next harvest for next year. So that's all about the pollination and making sure that you're increasing your harvest by pollinating at least, or germinating at least 3 to 4 seeds. So thank you for joining us, and if you have more questions, send us your questions. And I want to thank Hermione Voices Foundation again for allowing me to do this workshop. So let me know if you have any questions, and have fun. Thank you.